I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we're nearing even closer to the decisive events of the qualifying round of the 2025 Carcassonne Champions League. And today we have quite the evening with not one, not two, but maybe, in all likelihood, three back-to-back matches. I was planning to stream two matches, but I got word that there is probably going to be happening a third match after our two matches are finished. So I've already put all the three pairings today, you can see above on your screen. So the games are starting in 2 minutes. Let's just do a bit of a rundown of what was happening today. First of all, pablobce of Argentina versus devaka of Ukraine. That's going to be the lower third round, so that means that it is a duel for elimination in qualification 3. Qualification 3 is meant for winners of national competitions. pablobce, one of the King of Carcassonne events, which is a turn-based series of events, and devaka happens to be from Ukraine, and Ukraine got an extra spot in qualification 3 due to fans' votes as well. So, let's just have a look at the bracket real quick. So, at first, devaka lost a narrow duel against Claudio Jorquera of Chile on stream. That sent him to the lower bracket. After that, confidently defeating Daniel Cheng or LSC of Hong Kong 2-0. And now they're here. As for Pablo, first of all, they had quite a tough matchup against the British player with screen name Lazyboar, which they eked past, but then the reigning world vice champion Josef Tihon with the screen name Siegfried of Hungary proved just a little bit too tough for them. So now they're also in the same bracket. Then they barely managed to win against Victor Bisson of Brazil. That was quite the match, and wasn't decided until the last tiles. And finally, here we are. And whoever wins this match will not have an easy time, because they will still need to play in the lower semifinals against Kreukle of Latvia, the reigning Mind Sports Olympiad gold medalist. And, of course, the loser of this match will sadly be eliminated from the tournament. As for the chances, Pablo certainly has shown his strength, rated in the upper 600s. I would still believe that devaka would be the favorite as one of the 12 Ukrainian masters. Just an extremely strong player. But, you know, only a slight edge. So this should still be reasonably close. My money, well, I'm not betting, but if I would, my money would probably be on devaka, but I don't think, regardless of who wins today, is going to be a particular upset. And the game has started. Reminder that this is a best-of-3 format, so we're bound to witness at least 2 games of Carcassonne, but maybe more. Hi, Pavlo. Do let me know who y'all are rooting for, because I know that I have a lot of Ukrainian viewers and also have a lot of Argentinian viewers as well. So interesting to see who will outnumber whom today. A slight statistical advantage goes to the Ukrainian with the Red Meeples, who now started a new city. They got to go first. Pablo now making a standard move with the road, placing a green meeple on it, claiming 2 points and pushing its way into the city of devaka. Devaka just drops this tile here, which I'm not really a fan of this move. I think it's just better to meeple that city, because Pablo can easily draw a Dorito tile or something like this and then start building a you know, a 6-point city on his own. And for example, another thing that Pablo can do with this tile, he can just start a new city from the city cap. Maybe like, actually like this, I think is the best. With a meeple on the smaller city, and that's exactly what happens. And the Ukrainian now needs to recognize that instead of finishing the 6-point city, it's actually, nah, it's stronger to start a new one. This guy could wait. I mean, both sides are really leaving this shielded thing up for grabs. So now also as Pablo, but you see, as Pablo it's a bit trickier. You see, so if we go over here as the Argentinian, then this square is a little bit vulnerable. Yeah, he does this anyway just because the city points are too good. And Devaka here gets the tile with only one legal placement, and it's a great, great situation for Pablo now, as he can consolidate his two cities in a variety of ways. So he could go over here, which is a really strong move. I think it's actually the best one in this position, and he finds it. It's not the only possible move. I think many players would have just gone here instead, trying to build up his city afterwards. Yeah, it's actually fun how these animations work. So whenever you disconnect for a couple of minutes, then instead of just bring you to the new position, Board Game Arena actually replays all the moves one by one. So it looks as if the players are blitzing it out. Yeah, so lots of exchanges of quick points from both players, roughly even on the scoreboard. Devaka with the first monastery, but overall with the advantage from Pablo. Yeah. So now Pablo's thinking for a little bit. And Devaka is now taking quick points. Green with another road on the left. Really aggressive on the scoring. I really like it. Always multiple cities open. Well, currently there's this one and this one. One for small points, one for big points. Devaka ahead on the scoreboard and has the first monastery, but Pablo has just a couple more points overall as a result of these open cities and these open roads. Will he meeple a farmer? No, he decided not to do that yet. A fantastic tile for Devaka starting to stack monasteries. Now, I wonder if it makes sense for Pablo to start a third road, actually, because it's a lot of points. And I think I would. There's still plenty of crossroad tiles, plenty of road tiles remaining, including the 4 normal T-shaped crossroads that fit here. And so by claiming this road, not only we get 5 immediate points, which technically are 4 points because which are net 4 because we get 5 points for the road and we add 1 point to Red's monastery, but more importantly, we disallow our opponent from doing that, because Devaka could easily have one of the 6 remaining curves or one of the 4 remaining T-shaped crossroads for an easy 5-point move. So we actually probably want to go there and prevent that, especially since Red already drew a monastery, and with that I believe Red has the advantage just because these monasteries can grow really dangerous really fast. Hi, Sergey. And Pablo's thinking about this. I think he can find this move. There's still definitely plenty of meeples in his hand. No, he does not do that. I actively dislike this move. I think this could be something that could decide the entire game. The reason why I dislike this move is not only the fact that it is choosing not to meeple this road, it is because it allows something like this, a move that kills off, or not kills off, but at least severely impairs 2 of Green's meeples, because now there are only 2 tiles remaining that fits into that square. Red can also build around here a little bit, restrict the city even further, or Red could go over here and over here, trying to block that square entirely. But I think the best approach for Red in the future will be to block the square, will be something like this. We just take one simple curve, put this over here, and just leave it alone. And then if Pablo draws this tile over here, which he miraculously does, yeah, this is not something that happens very often, obviously this move looks like it was utterly brilliant. No, it wasn't. No, it really, really wasn't. So quite a statistically unlikely event. But now Devaka needs to keep his cool. Even if Pablo finishes his city, which is looking increasingly likely, these 3 monasteries are just monstrous. Yeah, so Devaka decides to try and break that city, which is a good decision. I also like the side how he chose to break it, because there are just so few city caps remaining. So if he gets a tile which goes over here, like a straight road, for example, something that Pablo has, then there'll be no tile that fits into the square because all 3 dagger tiles have gone out. And actually, there's only 1 city cap remaining that fits here. It is the 4th remaining starting tile, because look at this. 3 barbed wire tiles have also gone out as well. Hi, Polo Verde. Yeah, devaka now needs to be patient. We don't go here, because that would actually help our opponent instead of impairing him. We probably take 2 points at the top, which actually are 5 points. 2 points for the road, and 1 point for each of these monasteries. Pablo, now with a simple city cap tile, probably needs to finish one of his cities, starts a new one. Maybe this one instead of this one. Yeah, that's actually really, really smart and a bit counterintuitive. If I have time, I'll explain why. I just want to see how the situation with the city resolves. Devaka with a splitter tile starts a new city and also finishes one of his monasteries. Pablo with the straight line cannot defend any of his cities properly. That's so fascinating. So what do we do here? I don't know. Maybe just adding 1 more point to his road, like to get any compensation you can get. There's really not at all that much. Or maybe just going here, that's also another option, to try and initiate a counter block. So if our opponent gets some sort of road tile, they go over here, they block us, but then we place a curve over here and we block 2 monasteries. So that could also be doing. Actually, I think that there's more value in doing that than in gaining the 1 road point. Because Devaka now has nothing to worry about. There's no counter threat to defend against. He now makes a normal move, and green will lose 2 meeples. In all likelihood, green will lose the game. They're equal on the scoreboard, but red will have a meeple advantage and the scoreboard advantage on the rest of the game. Pablo can salvage it a little bit. There's only 1 move that's possible in this position reasonably, and of course this is to go over here and meeple this juicy city piece, because we can't possibly allow red to take a Dorito of his own and meeple a new city. But yeah, but green sadly makes another mistake, and I think it's maybe just tilting a little bit, because most of the time we've seen if Pablo started this game really well, really like with calculated aggression, and not meepling the city is of course a bit, well, quite dangerous. Now Devaka, yeah, that's exactly the problem, because Devaka now can finish his monastery, start a new city. And imagine if Pablo had meepled the city first, then red cannot really go over here and just waste a city cap like this, because then we can't really put a city cap in your opponent's city, and so this would severely delay the monasteries. I'm really surprised this miss. Devaka now quite deservedly gets another city cap, finishes a 12-point city, and with that his scoreboard advantage grows to +15. He's ahead on the field. He still has 2 monasteries, which roughly are equal to the value of these 2 blocked features. The road of green is kind of nice. It is 11 points. So it's not necessarily the saddest event ever to have this meeple blocked, but then why do you? Devaka has now the fantastic opportunity to score points and expand his field by going over here. Probably something that's worth doing, if you ask me. He might even consider meepling a monastery, but I think the road is just fine. You know, you don't necessarily need to be extra greedy in this position. All you need to do is guarantee yourself some sort of win. Pablo with the city cap gets a much needed meeple back. Now has a bit some scoring potential. devaka with the crossroad tiles, a variety of options, and he doesn't go for the 2 points. Instead, he sets up a 5-point road next to his monastery. That's really interesting. Pablo, with a monastery tile, will now decide whether it's worth meepling the monastery or maybe it's time to go for a small field. I probably like meepling the monastery just because there's still a chance to get a meeple back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's still one straight line remaining. So with Pablo's deficit, I wonder if it's crazy to go here and hope for the one remaining straight line, for a Dorito tile, or even better, a triple city tile to expand our city, then get a couple of city tiles here to expand our ruin even more, build up our monastery using city tiles, and then even drop a farmer at the end. Of course, it sounds a little bit far-fetched, but in order to come back from this position, you have to do something completely radical. And, going over there for 5 immediate points for a chance to get your meeple back sounds like a really good deal. There are some alternatives. I guess we could also occupy this spot. There are some issues that we could get this meeple sort of kind of blocked, but maybe we can live with that. And instead he goes for that spot, meepling 5-point monastery, but I think it's an inferior move. The reason why it's an inferior move is because this monastery is harder to complete. So this is a classic issue that I see very often. So it looks like it is a safer spot because it is less restricted. But then if you look at the actual tiles that you'll be placing there, well, very often you will be needing a straight line for one of these squares, unless you really want to draw multiple curves that fit into that square. And second, I guarantee you this monastery will not be completed, or at least it's really unlikely to be completed. Not because it will be blocked or anything, but simply because there are not enough moves left in the game to productively keep adding just 1 point to your monastery 4 times and then getting a meeple back. Whereas if you place the monastery here, you have room for multiple more moves that allow you scoring for both the city and the monastery, and that's the issue. So even though it's less likely to draw the tiles that you need, when you draw them, there's a clear benefit from those tiles. And this 5-point monastery is fine, but it just seems to be not gritty enough with a deficit as severe as Pablo's. Possibly he has already given up on this game, and it might be the right thing to do, kind of trying to think already about the rematch, but maybe we still as green could hang on to our whatever 2%, 3% winning chance. Hi Ian. Let's try refresh and see what has happened in the game. Well, that was quick. Yeah, do apologies for the disruption, so we didn't get to see the end game going on. So it appears that the Ukrainian has meepled another 6-point field, and there was another ruin over meepled over here. A 6-point farmer for Pablo, as I thought would be the case, and as I told you, the monastery was not completed. So looks like quite a big win for the Ukrainian to start. And yeah, red managed to out-strategize green a little bit. So green managed really nice calculated aggression at the start, but all resulted into these 2 blocked meeples, and red just took advantage of a tile that he drew really well and just skillfully ran away with this game. Let's see if in the second game Pablo has something to offer in return. Let's update the score in just a second. Yeah, hopefully these technical mishaps will not be as frequent as they have been at the start of the stream. They do occur once every couple of days in these, but typically when they do occur, it's a few at a time. Hopefully that was the last one or one of the last. But in case something like this occurs as well, they typically solve up to 3 minutes to resolve. So, devaka's up. We're waiting for the second match. The second game, rather. The match is, of course, still the same. Alright, have we started yet? I believe we might have, actually. Yeah, there we go. A minute ago. Players with almost identical ratings now. 662 for devaka, 663 for Pablo. Let's see if this... Well, of course, after this game, it's going to change one way or the other. As Pablo with a slight advantage here. Gets on the scoreboard, 3 points for the road, and he's the first one with a monastery. So looking good for the play with the red meeples. Green just starts a new city in the safest possible location. Red responds with a natural move of finishing his 4-point city and starting a new one, taking the lead on the scoreboard. A natural move available for devaka as well. Presumably going over here, meepling a city cap, making sure that there's only one platform to attack this city at the top and not two. And look at this. Now it's his Pablo with the monasteries and the stacking approach. So let's see how devaka deals with that. Gets 8 points on the scoreboard for a city. Pablo with a chance to get some quick points, presumably. There are two ways of going about this. One, we could go over here and maybe pose a bit of a threat to this meeple over here by doing so. We could also go over here. This wouldn't pose any threats to this meeple, but this would make this guy feel slightly protected, as this square close to the city would be a bit obstructed. There's a third option which is more aggressive, and that would be going over here and using the city as a city tile. But that would be the riskiest option of the three. Devaka with a road tile. I really like this move. So if he chooses to... Oh, interesting farmer, but I think that works. Continue a road. And the idea, of course, like with the sticking a road end over here, is that we're trying to draw a big tile, such as an extender or a Dorito or something like this, to try and obstruct these two monasteries. So it always helps when you have a bit of a piece of road sticking there. Pablo can deal with that pretty easily. Can simply go over here and start a new city. That would be, I think, way too shy to try finishing that city. There's also this option available. We might go over here, start a new road, and protect this city at the top. We might go over here, meeple this road. Okay, that meepling the road would be a bit too much. Continue the city in direct and create an attacking platform on this guy. Also note how this sequence of two city moves has helped... yeah, this move I don't understand at all. And because it allows stuff like this. It was just so much easier to start a new city next to your own monastery. Now we can see, at least in all its glory, the Ukrainian technique delivered by the Ukrainian player in its most classic form with the shielded Dorito tile. And then there's just no good way for Pablo to get out of this situation. Either we have our two red meeples blocked compared to just one meeple blocked of devaka, which can still grow in its size with some triple quadruple city tiles, or we're forced to spend a city cap just to free up our meeples. But if we do spend the city cap, then we help devaka develop his city, and we probably donate another 8 points to green scoreboard. So no good outcomes here. And also we see a further interesting move, but I also think it's quite a mistake to drop a farmer this early, because of the long-term meeple problems that Pablo will be experiencing. He doesn't really have a good chance at this field. So yeah, it looks like a nice 6-point farm, but what's just going to happen? Devaka is going to finish a city, drop a farmer as well. Okay, if this city is obstructed, Devaka is just going to go over here and drop a farmer as well. So this move this field will belong to Devaka eventually, who, by the way, successfully blocks this square. Red gets a fantastic tile to score 3 points and obstruct the city of green. But as I said, green can just go here and drop a farmer here. But of course, there are other priorities. Red was threatening a city on the right, and we need to try and block it. So Pablo gets a meeple back to have some semblance of not such a severe meeple minority. Oh, look at that. He's actually getting some tiles. Got a dagger tile trying to finish this city. Now, if Pablo manages to finish this city, then this could really turn the tides in this game. Doesn't manage to do it quite yet. Gets a good tile, though. This is one of the splitters that would be really nice for devaka, but drawn by Argentinian. Also, very interesting move by the Ukrainian with this indirect defense of the city square. So the purpose of this move, of course, is to make this square a little bit more restricted so that red does not have many options for placing blocking tiles in this square. And this is all, of course, to ensure the long-term health of this city. Red realizes that he might lose this field, that he will be losing this field eventually. So he's kind of trying to build cities in other places. And I wonder if that was the best possible move. That looks perfectly fine. Starts a new city at the bottom. Now probably going to continue it. Great move for devaka, taking no chances, equalizing this city. Many players would have made this move without meeple, hoping to block that square. But devaka realizes that his position is really good, so we don't need to do hoping, we need to do controlling of the situation. There's still one more tile that fits into that square, so then if red draws that tile, then red cannot benefit from these 4 road points without bringing in green to the city. Of course, green also now trying to obstruct red city a little bit. And interesting how there are now 2 road monastery shaped holes in the position. This benefits red a little bit because, let's say, if green gets the monastery, green goes over here, it gets the 9 points, and then all these fields are unified, and so this meeple from red loses its scoring potential. But now if red draws this tile, so red actually doesn't have to go over here anymore because there will be another source of 9 points available on the board. This, of course, was something unavoidable because green had to go over here in order to obstruct red city, but it's a nice consequence for red to try and hang on in this game. And also, red's actually managing to do pretty well despite his long-term meeple minority, because devaka really hasn't managed to score all that much. I mean, these shielded cities were nice, but that's when the Ukrainian scoring kind of stopped. And these monasteries will still be worth a lot of points at the end of the game. Again, another great move from the Ukrainian, trying to build up his city, but also at the same time creating a vulnerability against Pablo's city over here. So a multi-purpose move. An alternative move was just to go over here and build up his side of the rune. He decides that he can do this later. Maybe now... okay, so he goes over here, which I actually don't like. I wonder what the point of that move is, because it looks... Normally he would block this monastery, but this monastery is already blocked. And I guess the idea is that we want to stop a normal monastery from going here, and now only a road monastery fits here, so we're just simply blocking a spot for a new monastery, as opposed to preventing Pablo from getting his meeple back, because he's not getting his meeple back, because this monastery square is blocked. Yeah, after this defense from red, it's actually really difficult for devaka to do anything to obstruct this square. Regardless of how he places the tiles around the square, there will still going to be at least one option to fill it. Also note how a splitter is drawn by Pablo, which means that devaka is not getting a splitter for open for somebody to grab. this green meeple is not seeing the light of day, because completing the city around all these squares with only 20 tiles remaining looks pretty much impossible. But still, green has 2 meeples to play with, and probably will be looking forward to doing something about that square. And now it's actually possible to do that, because have a look. 1, 2, 3. 3 of the barbed wire tiles have gone out, which means that as green we can go with a road tile over here and try drop a farmer. And I think devaka should now go over here to block this square, or should we just take 4 points? I'm not sure, but maybe we should take 4 points. But Pablo now dropping a farmer here for 12 points, which should be extremely painful for all Ukrainian fans watching. But I see we finally have Argentinian fans in the chat as well. Hi, Elias. Yeah, Wiseman is saying devaka opting not to kill Pablo's city, and Pablo doesn't even try to defend. But you know what? Sometimes I kind of do that too if I'm a little bit behind, or if I'm not sure about my position. And if I have a city in a vulnerable spot, and I see that my opponent gets a tile to block my city, but then they choose not to block, I sometimes later on choose not to defend that city, because I'm kind of thinking, well, you know, if they chose not to block it on one move, maybe they're gonna choose not to block it on their next move. Maybe they're not counting the tiles properly. Maybe they forgot about that option. You know, maybe they have other priorities in the position. So then maybe, okay, finally devaka does sacrifice the 3 points and decide to block that square. So it just simply appeared that the play with the green meeples decided that he needs to score, that scoring is more important than blocking that city. Well, I guess to a certain extent. So it's very interesting how he decided that scoring 4 points was more important than blocking that city. But scoring 3 points is not more important than blocking that city, because this was a 3-point sacrifice, because he could have taken this 3-point road. Yeah, so whenever I say sacrificing a number of points, I not necessarily mean just adding tiles to your opponent's tiles. I mean not capitalizing on the value of the tile, like not using it elsewhere in the position to score points for yourself. Here it does seem to be justified, because Pablo still had 2 tiles available for him to get a meeple back. No, fantastic move from Pablo, dropping a city cap in his field, but most importantly, eliminating field connection opportunities for devaka. Before this move, green could have dropped a farmer over here to equalize this 12-point field. Now I have no idea how he's going to equalize this 12-point field. Also, Pablo drawing the one last remaining horse tile that fits over here, which would have been nice for the Ukrainian, a way to equalize his little 3-point city with his opponent's 6-point city and gain 4 points with the roads. Now will no longer be possible. Now Pablo will probably score 2 points over here, or he decides to score 4 points over here nevertheless, because it's kind of like a net 1-point move for him, but it opens some volatile options. Somebody can just go over here and invade the big city. Will Pablo going to do it? Is that worth it? Probably not, because that seems easily blockable, or maybe. I mean, this rune's really big. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points shared. So if we go over here and we're successful in joining, then it's 15 points at least. And we also have this impenetrable 12-point farm. And we're probably doing very well as the Argentinian. Yeah, so I kind of, after this implementation of the Ukrainian technique, I thought that green would have the long-term advantage, and they did. But somehow the Argentinian managed to hold on with having just enough meeples in hand to realize all his plans, and he's still ahead in this position. Because a reminder to you all that these monasteries are going to score at the end. And red has this 12-point field, although green has also a 12-point field, so everybody is completely equal on the field. I wonder if Pablo decides to go here and start a new city, which is not something I would recommend. It just seems a tad too risky, actually. Yeah, really difficult decision here. So if only Pablo had 2 meeples in hand, then going over here is pretty much a no-brainer. It's 3 guaranteed points plus a really good chance to draw a tile that goes over here. But now, if he were to go over here and use his last meeple, then we won't be able to take advantage of the city cap, whilst there's still a couple of tiles, 2 exactly, that fit into that square. So you see what he does. Instead, he doesn't block. He simply eliminates blocking opportunity from his, he eliminates a connection opportunity from his opponent. Not entirely eliminates, just makes it harder, because there's still 1 tile available that fits into that square. But the point of such a move is that, let's say, if green chooses to go over here and invade, then by invading, green will create a platform to block the invasion square and not allow to even draw the 1 remaining tile that's remaining for connection. But then I wonder if the same effect could have been achieved by turning the city tile upwards instead of downwards, because this would achieve the same effect, except it would also make sure that this city cannot be completed. But now it can be completed, and there's still 2 tiles that fit into that square, and this city lies in green's field, so green has a threat of getting easy 7 points on his field, which you're probably gonna do right now. And this is something that could have been prevented by Pablo. Maybe Pablo decided that he's going to have to re-attack the field anyway. He might actually do it right now, because the field is now worth 15 points. But still seemed like something a bit unnecessary. No, he's being patient. I guess his idea is that he first wants to eliminate field connection opportunities for devaka, but looks like devaka is not going to need field connection opportunities, as he's very fine with his quick points. His main field has grown bigger than Pablo's field. He's 9 points ahead on the scoreboard, has a 5-point road, 5-point ruin here, 6-point ruin here. This is definitely more than enough to outrun the 3-point ruin of Pablo plus the 15-point monastery. Well, I'm not sure if it's more than enough. I'm going to say it's just like enough. So probably what Pablo needs to do at some point, or maybe even right now, is to just go ahead and invade this field. Of course, we need to count the tiles first and realizes which chances are greater. So let's see. Wise Man's in the chat is suggesting that there are 3 straight lines and 2 crossings. Yeah, and that's why this orientation of the tile is the best, meaning that pretty much almost any tile that goes over here works for the invasion. Oh, but devaka can set up a counter invasion, but does he see that? If he goes over here, just adding 1 point to his city, he can set up an invasion through the crossroads. And there's still 2 crossroads remaining. By far the best move, but sadly, this is not how you play. I mean, he's setting up another invasion, but I don't think it's quite gonna work. Because if he drops a farm over here, I wonder even if there are even tiles left to connect. So of course, the purpose of this move was getting himself a re-invasion platform. I also wish that green spends a bit more time trying to calculate if an invasion for him is even necessary. It might be the case. Also, you know what I think would have been stronger than this move? Of course, adding 1 point and setting up an invasion through the crossroad is also nice, but there's another way. We don't necessarily have to invade the upper field. We can invade the bottom field, which is worth almost just as many points. So with this move, green could have gone over here, and that's something that's called a pre-defense. That's defending this square in advance. And the idea that after red connects, we can get something like a straight line, drop a farmer over here, and then try to connect over here. And what this city tile would have done is it would have restricted this square, not allowing red to place something in this square to restrict this square, the field connection square. So yeah, you just like in these situations, you really gotta plan a few moves ahead up until the end of the game. Wiseman is saying 1 Dorito remaining. Yeah, so there's an option for devaka to just go over here, which would essentially be 40% for the entire game, because there are 5 tiles unseen to him. There's indeed 1 Dorito tile remaining in the deck. That would be, I think, the only tile that allows him to connect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No turns remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No monasteries remaining. And finally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No vanilla city caps remaining. So if he goes over here and drops a farm, which is sort of the natural move to do, and then there's only 1 tile that remains into the square. So he chooses not to do it just yet, choosing simply to take 1 point. I wonder what's the purpose with that, because maybe he decides that just simply outscoring his opponent is enough. I'm not sure about that, actually, because Pablo has a lot of stuff. I mean, so this upper field is shared. Devaka has 13 points on the scoreboard, but red has 15 points over here. Okay, so now is Devaka calculating that it's enough for him to win without having to invade anything? But then in that case, what's the point of making this move when you can simply just go over here and take yourself 1 point? It could be the case. I just can't count points this quickly. Let's see. 6-point road, 6, 5, 6. So that's 15. Monitors are 15. So these are equal. Yeah, devaka. Ooh, it's going to be very close. Actually, I think the Argentinian is going to eke this out. Because also we need to remember about these 3 points over here. So the Argentinian is at +5 at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't see where devaka is scoring 5 points. I just don't see that happening. Straight line for the Ukrainian. And that's it. Alrighty, so the last tile for Pablo won't make any difference. And so we'll just refresh again and see the results, which already some of you mentioned in the chat. And 1 point win for Pablo, so congratulations to all my Argentinian fans. But as pointed out for Wiseman in the chat, the move that did devaka in was this 1 wasted city points. If he just were to go over here, the score would have been 100 to 102, and the Ukrainian would have already won the match. Because in case of a draw, the win is awarded to the second player, and devaka was the second player here. And it's something that, with an abundance of times on his clock, he could have actually figured out. Moreover, if somehow this were not be able to be accomplished, well then, this move was even setting up another reinvasion of the field. So yeah, it turns out the big miss results into a lost game by 1 point. So certainly should be disappointing for Ukrainian fans, but this should be great for both Argentinian fans and neutral fans, because this means that we get to see another game, we get to see the decider. And also, of course, there was another way of winning, just going over here and trying to reinvade the other field. This also would have worked given the large number of straight lines available. So yeah, so Pablo, excellent patience for the Argentinian, managing to get out of quite a difficult situation on his meeple management, but just waiting until the very last moment to attack the right field and then hold on to his barreling lead. So congratulations to Pablo. Let's see if the third game has already started. And it has. A couple of tiles have been used already. Now, the Ukrainian with the green meeples and Pablo with the red. I think the colors actually have not changed. A couple of scoreboard points for Pablo and 50% scoreboard points more for devaka. Pablo... Oh no, the colors have changed, because Pablo now green, devaka red. That just means that players don't have any color preferences, because blue and green are just happen to be the default colors. Let me just update the score real quick, as Pablo is thinking where to start a new city, and Pablo instead chooses to continue Devaka's city, but it will backfire. You know, like in the opening of the game, adding a shielded tiles to your opponent's city is typically not a good idea, and Devaka quite deservedly gets the dagger, and with that he's going to have quite a hefty advantage. So of course the purpose of that move, of this move, it had some idea in it. It was just trying to prevent the block of that square. But what the Argentinians should have recognized is, first of all, that this here square doesn't get blocked very often, because it was just possible to try an indirect defend from the left in the next move later. And the second thing that he should have realized is that your opponent potentially finishing a 12-point city is far greater threat. Still, it's not a lost position for Pablo, but it's a difficult position for Pablo for sure, as his 1-point city is under attack here, and he will probably be trying to protect it right now, which is a move that would make sense to me. Maybe he's also thinking if he could score in the process, if he should meeple the road. I like keeping the road meeple empty. There will be other tiles with which we can meeple this road in a more secure position. Pablo now with a great tile. But where do we use it? Yes, he decides to use it in the most obvious spot. Another move was available to go over here to start a 5-point road and also mess with Devaka's road. And now Devaka will probably go over here, exactly, starting a new 5-point road through Pablo's city, and also securing another 4-point road of his own. So yeah, so one thing that Ukraine is really good at is aggressive scoring. And against such players, you don't want to leave them empty stuff on the board to work with. Starting a new city, and now Pablo also starting a new city of his own. Devaka with a curve tile. Thinking whether it's worth expanding his monastery, he decides to take care of his road first. I really like this. 19 points extra for Devaka. A city cap now for the Ukrainian. For the Argentinian, rather. Probably... I'm not sure, maybe it's just being a bit too aggressive. I just like finishing the small city here. It is more vulnerable than one might think. 4 more points for Devaka. Finally, Pablo will get some more stuff. Well, I'm really surprised about this one. I'm sure there must be a reason for this, why he's not finishing the city at the top. Because the Ukrainian will now be more than happy to use a bit of a clunky tile to try and invade the city at the top. Yeah, now finally, so Pablo gets the tile that he has been working for so hard, but only 8 additional scoreboard for this road and the city compared to 12 points that he so generously donated to his opponents a few moves ago. Pablo with a shield, not a shielded tile. Interesting, I accidentally called it a shielded tile just because it's a valuable tile. Devaka now trying to block Pablo's meeple. Yeah, Wiseman is saying that Pablo's kind of worried too much about getting his meeple blocked. And also, yeah, so I think that's why he didn't want to finish his city at the top. Because if he finishes his city at the top, that exposes a blocking platform. Against his monastery. But I really like what happened in this game because it just shows you a Carcassonne principle. The same as in life. If you're too afraid of a thing happening, then that thing is going to happen. So you don't even get the benefits of finishing your city, and you get your monastery blocked regardless. So I very often notice that kind of playing scared about getting your meeple blocked is what gets your meeple blocked. And being willing to sacrifice your meeples for the right price sometimes it results in getting some of your meeples back anyway. So Pablo starts a new monastery, which I really like. Devaka gets 2 points for the road, 9 points extra for the Ukrainians. Still, not a lost position for Pablo. Like, there's plenty of things that we can do. One thing that we can do is go over here and probably drop a farmer. Pre-building a 4-point road, being first on the very nice 9-point field. The downside, we're left with just 1 meeple. But, you know, we can build up this monastery fairly quickly. We have this city cap to work with that we can free up soon enough. Another alternative is to go over here and drop a farmer, making this road a little bit more vulnerable, but being the first on the field for sure. Okay, now it's time. We have to go somewhere and drop a farmer. It's just the tempo on this field is way, way too valuable. The question is, do we go here, which close up this field kind of nicely, or do we go here and build up our monastery? And I think the answer is we actually build up our monastery here and place the city cap like this, because we are setting up a very nice road over here. Well, and we actually want to eliminate this, we actually want to connect this square to the main field as soon as possible, because let's say if we don't build up our monastery and go over here, something that's very, very easy that Reds can do is just simply going over here, dropping a farmer, and using this platform to connect into the main field. Both farmers are ignoring the field for now. Great tile for Pablo to go over here and actually give him an excellent chance of finishing his monastery, also disrupting Red City. And this is exactly what he does. So this is one of those instances where actually you should be saving your meeples, and this is exactly what he does. And the reason why I like this move so much is that when we finish our monastery, we're very often are able to meeple this new road and take advantage of the road points, and then we also get to draw a road monastery of our own, take advantage of 8 road points. So there's just so many ways how we can come back into this game. Yeah, this move I really don't like by Pablo. I guess it has some merit in the sense that it obstructs this monastery a little bit, but that's what it does. It obstructs it a little bit. Whereas just adding 1 more point to the monastery and getting it closer to the completion seems to be something more valuable. Pablo, with a road monastery, a tricky decision. On one hand, you want to go here and get the 8 points and pre-build the road. On the other hand, if you spend your last meeple, then you will be missing an incredible amount of value. And so I think here we actually sadly have to say no to the road monastery. The move, I believe, is just to go here, scoring 2 points, making it slightly harder for our opponent to block our monastery, so it will have some marginal additional value, but it doesn't seem to me that we can profitably meeple this monastery. Not because we will be trapping our meeple. I mean, we could be trapping our meeple, but there's so many places how we could get our meeple back. But it's just seems to be quite unlikely that we'll be getting meeple back soon, so we will be losing a lot of value from city caps, crossroads, stuff like this, the curve. So Pablo made an interesting choice. He used this tile as a blocking tile. That's actually something that might work, just because it's so difficult to fill these 2 squares. It's almost impossible. So the only combo that works there... Wait, there is no combo. Oh, how nice. Yeah, so this is a move that completely blocks the square. This is another of those geometrical beauties where there's still tiles that fit into this square, and there's still tiles that fit into this square, but there's no combination of tiles available anymore to fit these 2 squares. So this is one of my most favorite kinds of blocks. Pablo's still fighting on. And devaka gets a monastery tile, and I think I see a move with this which I really like. Of course, we could drop a farm, we could take quick points, but how about we go over here and then we meeple not the monastery, not the field, but the road, to make sure that if Pablo finishes his monastery, we get those lovely, lovely 8 road points as an insurance. Or we just finish this road ourselves and we drop a farmer after that. Because we have the meeple majority here, the temporary meeple majority, and at some point as red will be getting meeple back from here, we can probably delay farming until a little bit later, and just to gain a bit more value. But Devaka goes a bit of a different approach. He takes 2 points with the idea of placing a tile over here. Thank you, Alexander. So the sound also needs to be reset. We should be all back. I was just saying that this move here was really nice, kind of recognizing that it's not that easy to block that city. And look at this defense again by Pablo. He's trying to draw one of the two remaining tiles that fits into that square. In the meantime, Devaka's plan is just to let Pablo finish that city and simply outrun him on the scoreboard. So great move from the Ukrainian. I believe completely blocking that square, making sure that this guy cannot finish his city with a splitter, and that green cannot draw any power, any firepower anytime soon, although we're probably just going to see some quick point move over here. And also that red is having this nice 5-point ruin, whereas this guy will be stuck with 1 point. But I can see a route to victory for green. So first of all, the quick points will definitely help. Then we finish our city, and then we equalize the field. And I think this should be enough. The Ukrainian gets his road meeple back finally. Pablo with a Dorito tile. Is it time to farm? No. Yeah, that's actually a great tile because we get to go... it's not such a great tile. I mean, it's an okay tile. We just get to add 1 point city to ourselves. So normally we could put it over here. Wait, do we have the drawings? I think we have the drawings. Do let me know if you can see the drawings on the screen. I'm also getting a bit paranoid about that. Yeah, so Pablo could go here. And trying to build up his ruin a little bit further, but it actually doesn't matter in this position because any tiles that could fit here and get those extra 2 city points for this green city, everything has already been used up, such as these 3 extenders over here. Normally would have been a nice tactical idea, yeah, and Pablo knows that there isn't anything that can fit there. But is there anything with which he could actually try and finish his city? Maybe. The answer is maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's still 2 Dorito tiles remaining. So maybe we could put one over here. Pablo not quite getting a tile that he needs just yet. So, of course, had he blocked his city, had he defended his city a little bit differently, then he would have drawn this tile to finish it. But who would have known? Yeah, he decides to defend it toward the 50-50. Kind of the only choice there. Thank you all for confirming that the drawings work. Devaka just meepling more points, and Pablo getting some city cap points, which will be really good for him. Should grab the 4 points without particular hesitation. Maybe he's thinking of just going over here and trying to finish this city, which is Alright, so we need to refresh again. And we will get to witness the last tiles. So the city of Pablo has not been finished yet. And the tiles for Pablo's city actually has not been drawn. Will it be drawn by Pablo? We're gonna find out right now. Right now. No, Pablo draws the other tile. So the coin flip will be missed. I'm not even sure if that city would have been even enough for him. Yeah, so we do appear to be back, and we're going to witness the final tile. So a bit unfortunate to drop out at that moment, and we can see that Green did not complete his city, but also he can be safe in knowing that completing the city would not have been enough. Because Devaka had full control of the game, of the field, with his aggressive scoring, really strong performance from the Ukrainian, despite an excellent attempt from Pablo to start a city on the right as a way to come back into this game. It just so happened that it wasn't enough in this particular instance, even if that had worked. So we congratulate the Ukrainian player for advancing, and that will be quite the match as Devaka is moving on to meet the reigning Mind Sports Olympiad gold medalist with a screen named Krishna in the semifinals of the lower brackets, but sadly we will be saying goodbye to Pablo and wish him and his Argentinian fans better luck next year, and of course still plenty of Argentinians remaining in the field. But do I have interesting news here? Why is May saying that there's another match going on? So so wait, let's see that. So there we were okay, so there we go. So we were supposed to be having a break actually until the 8 p.m. match of Kreukle and Bluste, but apparently on the short notice Crafty Raf of Belgium versus Hognai of Norway have been scheduled, and Raf is already ahead 1 point. Well, isn't it wonderful? So first of all, let's just update the scorer to reflect that, and then we'll be jumping right into the next thing, hopefully with Y'all know what? We're gonna try and unretire from our break a few minutes early. In 6 minutes, we're starting our main match in the evening, which is Bluste of Croatia versus Kreukle of Lithuania. But before that, let's just catch a tiny glimpse of the spontaneous match that has been going on that was not planned, that just has recently started between Craft Giraffe and Hogne. Because it looks like they're now playing their decider, as it is 1-1. Crafty won the first one. Hogne of Norway won the second one. And this is going to be from the lower bracket of one. So my optimism was premature, as we're having ourselves another disruption. So it looks like things were going a little bit better for the last 15 minutes or so, but I think we might probably have to experience disruptions like this every 10 minutes or so. Probably still my decision will be to continue with the stream, because it's better to have stream with some disruptions than no stream, if you ask me, or if you ask some of the viewers. But yeah, just be aware that sometimes we might occasionally disappear for 2 or 3 minutes, but we'll try to persevere until the end of the evening, and we're gonna try and make sense of this position. Again, the reason why this is not on the scoreboard, where you can see this match on the scoreboard, is because it was very spontaneously planned and was not meant to be part of today's evening, but it will be now. Roughly equal on the scoreboard, the Belgian with the black meeples, the Norwegian with the blue meeples, now trying to figure out where to use this extender tile. Starts a new 4-point city at the top, excellent potential for development. Seems to me like the best move in that position. Crafty with a straight line. And I think even though this match was spontaneously planned, it's probably okay to sacrifice a few minutes, or even more than a few minutes, of the main match of the evening, just because it should last a long enough time. It is a decider after all. It is a decider for both of these players' tournament life. So whoever loses this game out of these two players will be eliminated from the entire tournament. So that is a pretty big deal. So I suggest that we watch that. Raf starts a new road. It has some interesting ramifications. For the city, maybe there are like some scenarios how it gets blocked with 2 big city tiles towards the square. It doesn't happen very often, but it happens sometimes. Sometimes it does indeed happen. Hogne with a monastery, figuring where to meeple it. So definitely looks like a good idea to meeple it somewhere. We could go here, which I think looks actually really strong, because this square is very nicely protected. This road of black is controlled. It also indirectly protects that city, because this idea that I was talking about will be slightly harder to implement. Here would not be a good idea, just because this square is a bit too vulnerable. Here is a possibility, but I don't like that this square is a bit vulnerable. Here is also a very nice possibility as well. Hogne chooses to meeple it here, and I think it is a mistake, because Craft Giraffe is going to go over here, stick a tile over here, make it harder to complete his monastery. He doesn't do it just yet, he'll do it later. He now goes over here to set up the blocking opportunity for the North City, which I was talking about. But even if blue is successful in recovering this monastery, you know, he will be forced to spend a city tile into a shared city, and city tiles are too valuable to do stuff like this. Had he placed a tile of the monastery over here instead, look at how powerful it would have been. But he gets bailed out by the deck. As Crafty continues the block, Hognai now gets a chance to either meeple a 7-point monastery, which he does, and also that indirectly protects his city very nicely, and then he'll be able to build up his city while also adding monastery points. So tricky situations for Crafty, but a nice tile to finish our road, sets up some blocking opportunities. The only question is, what is the most preferred orientation of that tile? I happen to agree here with the Belgian, so it sets up some nice opportunities to get crossroad tiles and to put further pressure on meeple it right in the center. Well, not there, but rather over here. There are still multiple tiles available for completion of the monastery, although I do realize how it might be not the most palatable monastery place, because having both squares restricted to a crossroads is not the great idea, but with 5 crossroads remaining, it's probably still worth a shot. The downside, of course, is that it's cutting this road a little bit more, because, of course, ideally this road wants to continue like way over here. But the advantage of placing it over here would be eliminating another spot, because like if Crafty gets a regular monastery, this could put him right back into this game. Yeah, so Hognai chooses to meeple a monastery for fewer points, but just keep it a little bit safer. He will now defend the square successfully as... Wait, yeah, Crafty Raf is tilting. So the move, the idea of blocking this square is nice, but the way you do that is not here. You place the tile in the other way, simply to avoid giving an extra point for blue. So it was possible to achieve the same option without actually giving a point to blue. And had Crafty gone over here, then blue would have done the same defense, but he would have forced to play the tile like this, which would have allowed us to gain a city tile and then block this square. So there was just a slightly better way to implement the same idea by the Belgian, and based on how quickly this move was made, I doubt whether that was fully thought through. Yeah, normally Crafty tends to take longer time on his moves. Yeah, now blue manages to successfully complete the shared city and even drop a 3-point farmer, maybe with some ideas of potentially developing this field, although that's not the exact easiest thing to do. And this was the earlier thing that I was talking about, that blue is forced to use a tile into a shared city just to get a better chance of finishing his monastery. As Crafty Raf drew this crossroad, it brought down the chance of completing Blue's monastery to 75%. So some of the time, Black does get the tile that's fit here, and then Blue stays with his meeple stranded. But even if that happens, Blue is just ahead on the scoreboard. Black, in the meantime, all but blocked this square over here. There's only one tile remaining that fits here, so much so that Blue doesn't even bother defending. Well, maybe now we could actually go here and still preserve the threat of completing that city, just in case we're lucky enough to draw the one starting tile. I mean, every bit of equity is worth to have if you can have it. So let's see where the Norwegian places this. Dorito tile just chooses to continue his city in a different way, also making it a bit harder to invade. That move also makes sense. The city is worth already 8 points, even if it is not going to get completed. Probably worthy of invasion from the side of Black. Crafty with a straight line. Where do you place the straight line? I don't know where you place the straight line. Let's try and think about this together. An option is just to go over here and use one of our 5 meeples to take a 5-point road. Another option is to try to fight for this farm. Even though this farm is worth only 6 points, it will be worth 9 points eventually as we complete our city. The downside of this move is that we leave an easy platform for Hognate to disrupt our city. And he used it immediately, but he's forced to spend a meeple, so that's great for us. And Crafty does get the monastery spots, and that was what I was talking about earlier, that Blue could have taken this monastery spot himself just to deny it from Black. And with this, Black is right into this game. Both sides have 2 monasteries. This road by Blue doesn't really have a lot of prospects. Blue has a great ruin, but Black can equalize all of that using his permanent or long-term meeple majority. Given that he is behind, he might need to be a bit more efficient and possibly score the quick points instead of connecting the city at the top. Let's see if that's the way to go. Well, first of all, we need to see how many more tiles are there that fit into that square. And just by the look of it, it seems that there are many, many Doritos still remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 Doritos. With 5 Doritos, this connection is fairly safe, so I'd probably take the quick points first and then complete the connection later. So, let's see what kind of decisive events we missed. So 4 tiles have been played, so players really taking their time. Craft Giraffe running really short on time, 13 seconds, chooses Oh, so it appears that we are at the end of the game, so the players suddenly started playing really, really quickly. Black did successfully equalize the fields, but will it be enough? It does not appear to be so. So unfortunately, the exact details will remain unclear, although it actually seems that the 2 fields have been separated. So an equal number of farmers, but just so much points, so much scoring elsewhere for the Norwegian. And despite the 8-point monastery and despite the 7-point road, it will be the Norwegian who makes it to the next stage with quite the upset to defeat none other than the Belgian master. 13-point difference, so relatively close game. I mean, given how difficult this position was for Black in the middle, given how difficult this position was for Black in the middle, so I would consider 13 points pretty close. But yeah, this match goes to the Norwegian, and we'll be jumping right into the next one, into our main match of the evening, which will be Bluste's game against Kreukle of Lithuania. Now, we already have an upset in the first game, lost by 24 points. So Kreukle, of course, is an expert player themselves, but I would expect the Croatian master to be the favorite. And the second game has already completed, and it looks pretty good for Bluste, at least on the scoreboard. But the Lithuanian player has so much stuff going on elsewhere. Well, 6 extra points for Bluste as well. But a huge ruin for Kreukle, a monastery completed as well for Bluste 2. So let's see who won. It's really not obvious here. Hopefully we're not going to have a anticlimactic ending, but we might. It's gonna get really close, but the main field belongs to the Lithuanian, and a 5-point difference and a major upset. So not only the Lithuanian manages to defeat the higher rated Croatian, but also does so without losing a single game. So of course we congratulate one of my neighbors and all of our Lithuanian fans. I know that there are not many Lithuanian Carcassonne players, but several experts, couple masters. So yeah, we congratulate Kreukle. Let's see how they get on in their next round. And we even have a whole half an hour. The whole half an hour before the final match of the evening, where Buha, I actually forgot to add the numbers to Filip's Buhinicek's name, screen name rather. So Croatians love their numbers in their screen names. The other Croatian in this qualification will try to defeat the Dane, who has been appearing on the stream a lot. So let's, you know what we can do? Because the first game appeared to be pretty interesting. So why don't we just have a look at how the first game developed in retrospect? I guess let's view it from the Croatians' no, yeah, why not? Because the reason I want to view it from Bluste's perspective, because I remember that he uses the old design of tile so that it's easier to follow, but I'm not sure which one the Lithuanian uses. Alrighty. So I just want to do a quick check of the drawing still working, of everything still being there. Yes, they do appear to be there. So we are going to continue natural moves, of course, at the start. Let's see where the real action has starting. Of course, equalizing the city, invading the road. It's normal move so far. Starting a new city at the same time, trying to put pressure on this square. I could also come up with an interesting decision. So you can either continue the city over here, exposing it to further attack, or you could start a new city over here. Because of this platform that allows some blocking opportunities for green, I probably prefer continuing my own city as red, and this is exactly what he does. Bluste immediately invades, but at the very least, red will not be losing his meeple anytime soon. Bluste with a road tile pre-finishes his roads. I mean, the Lithuanian with the road tile, a real nice move here. Well, actually, I'm not sure about this move here by Bluste. I think it's a slight miss. It's definitely a miss, because it is better to score 2 points not here, but over here on the left. The reason for this, because in this situation, there are now some options for red to get a couple of big tiles, and with this configuration to block that square. Whereas if you take the 2 points over here, then this situation is no longer possible. And I think Bluste's idea was trying to disrupt this monastery spot, but taking 2 points on the left does just the same. A monastery is possible still to place here, but because of the extra platform on the left, the spot is a bit disrupted and can be attacked further. So it seems to me, let's see if this miss actually does amount to something, as Kreukle starts a new city. Not the safest position, but it allows him to connect the roads. Green starts a new city, at the same time making the platform for red vulnerable over here. And now the Lithuanian has a great move available to him, going over here, setting up a 6-point road, and at the same time setting up some blocking opportunities against this meeple over here, using the vulnerability of this square so generously created by the Croatian on his previous move. But instead he goes for the normal 3-point road, so the move with the greatest immediate value. However, I think that was a miss. It's this move at the top, even though it is less points immediately, it just like does a lot of nasty stuff positionally. 2 threats at once, you're very likely to get at least one of those things done. The Croatian just finishes his city. His other city starts a new one, is a bit ahead on the scoreboard. Kreukle now separates his meeple at the top, but this is not something that I would do necessarily, just because this square is still vulnerable, it's subject to a block. And I also have another vulnerable square, so probably as red, I prefer allowing these 2 cities to be connected, but rather just making a bit more standard move, continuing my city at the bottom, starting a new city over here, and then just leaving those alone. So Bluste now, of course, tries to block that city, and it is even more dangerous because there's a way to do this really efficiently. Because the idea is now he will not need to spend any additional moves on creating a blocking platform. All he has to do is at some point finish his city, and then this will allow the creation of the blocking platform automatically. And, then it is not obvious whether red will be able to draw a defense tile or not. Red now continues his city on the left, which actually I'm not sure if that's the best move. I think a strong move is doing the same, but over here, just making sure that Bluste cannot easily finish his city and make this square more vulnerable. Where, another alternative was to just leave the square alone and place this tile over here to disrupt this city meeple of green, and at the same time to indirectly protect this city meeple of red from attacks on the right. Straight line for Bluste, and he does use that square for an attack on the right, at the same time slightly protecting his city. Now Kreukle gets the road monastery tile, finishes. I was going to assume that he's going to finish his road and start a monastery there. Instead, he chooses to start a new monastery for more points, but also to control Bluste's city. That works really well. But the one downside of this move is that it now makes the blocking opportunities that I described earlier using a couple of big tiles no longer possible, because this potential vulnerable square has been filled. But in this case, it's actually justified because Reds cannot really use a big tile over here, because he would be creating a vulnerability next to his own city. And also, this is why I didn't like the splitter move from red. Because now red is forced to protect his own city, this also means that red cannot attack the city of green that easily. Green gets a monastery of his own, places it in a nice location for 3 points, controlling Kreukle's road and Kreukle's other monastery. Red, with a curve, continues his roads, which is an okay move. It doesn't really do that much. Bluste now adds a tile to his monastery, which is decent enough, but actually there are some scenarios how it can accidentally result into a gigantic long road for blue. For red, rather. Ideally, of course, to make these sort of moves with a curve or with a different tile that just does not allow easy road points. But given that this idea of making a huge loop road for red requires a sequence of 4 tiles, there's insufficient time for us to try and disrupt this. Kreukle continues his city at the same time disrupting the city of Bluste. Bluste continues his city at the top at the same time creating a blocking blocking platform against Kreukle's city. The Lithuanian does not get a defense tile, so he's probably just going to continue his city at the bottom, try to make sure that at least one of his meeples gets out alive. Bluste does not get a blocking tile, but he can simply finish his city at the top, which he should have done. I don't like this move one bit. There's no reason to delay the completion of our city for a variety of reasons. Well, first of all, why not just take the 8 points? Again, these 8 points give you a meeple back, and they also set up some blocking opportunities against this monastery, and they also protect the city in the long term. Because there are some scenarios, if you don't finish the city soon enough, how if you block the square as green. But if you do it with a city tile, so let's say with an extender tile or a triple city tile like this, then even though the square is going to get blocked, what's Kreukle going to do? They're going to draw a Dorito tile, place it like this, tying this city meeple also to this block square. And with neither of the two splitter tiles available to separate, this meeple will also be trapped. So that's why it's important to get this guy out actually as soon as possible. This is an interesting moment because normally city tiles which are shaped like this are super safe, but not in this case. Like generally when you have a city which is about to be completed, if you're trying to block something 2 squares below, it's typically better and the blocking attack is stronger if you get yourself out of the way. Moreover, now after this move, green needs a city cap tile in 2 places, whereas if you just finish your city, you still have options. You can either draw 2 city caps and continue your other city like this, or you can draw multiple Dorito tiles and finish it like this. This is especially important since green also needs a city cap over here, so it does appear to be a big miss by green. I wonder why this choice must have been made, and I think I have an answer for you. Probably what green did not want to do, green did not want for red to draw a Dorito tile and use it as a blocking tile, taking advantage of this vulnerable square, but actually this is way dangerous than it seems. There are only 4 big tiles remaining in the deck to do that. You know, I'm talking about 3 triple cities and 1 quadruple cities. Even if red does that, this square is not that vulnerable because there are still 2 daggers available that fit into that square. And if red chooses to do that with a Dorito, well, first of all, red's not going to do that because they need the Doritos over here and over here to build up their own city. And if red somehow chooses to block using a Dorito, well, that's amazing because red just used a Dorito, which they need, again, for this city. So it does appear something that could become a costly miss, and Kreukle gets to attack their city anyway. This move also could have been done without a meeple. Bluste now probably going to need to use the monastery tile as a blocking tile. I actually disagree with this move. I think that blocking the city is just way too important, that it was completely okay to use even a juicy tile try to block this square. But the Croatian decided that they can score more with this tile and they might even later block this monastery. Also, the reason why I actually don't like this move is because it sets up a very nice monastery tile that will benefit red more than green, because whoever places a tile over here, whether that's red or green, they will be freeing up the monastery meeple of red. And so, and in some situations, green will be forced to place a tile over here. If they meeple the monastery, they give a meeple back to green, and they also actually have some vulnerabilities over here. There's some scenarios even how they could have 4 of their meeple trapped towards this one critical square. And of course, if red goes over here, it's fantastic. Red gets this monastery to control all these squares at the top, and easy 9 points and a meeple back. Also, the more I look at this move, the more strongly I dislike it, because this monastery was doing just fine. It was controlling 2 meeples at the same time, and actually, if as green we were to block this square and block this square, there was a way to keep our 2 monasteries to keep our 1 monastery meeple blocked compared to 2 meeples of our opponent, so gaining a long-term meeple advantage. But now this idea has gone out the window, and we are essentially helping the monastery of red much more than we're helping the monastery of our own. And more importantly, we're not blocking this square. There are still 3 daggers that fit into that square. Bluste happens to have one of them. But if red gets the dagger, we'll then get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they turn a 5-point city into a 12-point city. They get 7 points and a meeple back. That's a huge gain for Kreukle. That's definitely a greater gain than this move of just 6 points and no meeple back. Hi Glovier, hi Craft Giraffe, commiserations to your about your loss. You might be happy to know that actually we didn't get to witness a lot of that due to some technical disruptions, which happily have evaded us for the last 10 minutes, so fingers crossed we'll get fewer of those throughout the evening. I'm also taking some measures to minimize them, although there is only so much power that I have. For those of you who are curious, actually my internet connection is perfectly fine. It's just the hardware is doing some exceedingly bizarre things. But, you know, trying to figure out on the spot how to mitigate that. So at least we've managed to have 10 minutes uninterrupted so far. That's already quite an achievement. Let's keep it up. And also just wanted to use the chance to thank you to those of you who stayed regardless. And I guess this stream will be a bit more palatable to watch later on as a recording, because I think just all the disruptions will be simply skipped. So it will be, I think the previous match, it will look like just the highlights, you know, not the full thing from start to finish. But you know, after those football matches, when they publish the videos of like 3 to 4 minutes where you show just the goals and maybe like one free kick or whatever. So this is the kind of video that we'll be having for posterity. So yeah, so now Bluste does use a valuable tile to block that square, recognizing that it is kind of important, but because he didn't finish the city earlier, let's see if red manages to use this newly created attacking platform to try and do something about this dangerous city of Bluste. And I was going to say he does indeed, but that's a really, really weak move from red. So far actually red has been playing well, but this move helps his road, but it also helps his monastery, whereas it was much, much stronger to go over here and start to meeple a new city in a way that really, really disrupts green city. Also, a comment is due for the perfect timing of this tile, because this dagger, of course, fits into that square, and Bluste blocked it just in time. Yeah, so a normal move, of course, is just to go over here. I think maybe Kreukle's plan is just to finish this road, but it's not that important. Like, if this meeple is trapped and this meeple is trapped, I mean, the worst outcome is just a slightly losing mini battle, but well, a lost mini battle is really not that much. And also the problem now is that it allows Bluste to continue his city at the top, which he does, and not only does it make it much easier. No. Okay, I pressed something. So why don't we just go again and renew the position? I'm gonna guess that it was move number 60. Oh, look at that. Not a bad guess. So something good is happening today. So, Kreukle with a Dorito tile. Yeah, and the thing with also the other problem with that move is not only the increased safety of the city over here, but also the increased vulnerability of this square, which benefits green more than it benefits red. Because red is threatening to draw a monastery, place it over here, completing the previous one. If green gets some sort of curve, maybe, green will be able to block that square without compromising the integrity of the leftmost monastery, still allowing a completion for 9 points, meeple back, and then some. Kreukle with a Dorito tile probably going to just build up his city on the left, trying to finish it. Bluste now with the monastery tile. I'm very curious to see what he does with it. Does it make sense for green to actually place it over here? it could be worth doing simply to prevent red from drawing one, but the problem with this move is that it would give Kreukle a meeple back, and it would also create some chances for red to draw a road Dorito and block 3 meeples at the same time, just because we're running short on these daggers that would fit in that square. There are even some scenarios where red gets to draw another Dorito and tie the fate of this city to this square, so blocking again 4 meeples of green just on one square. This monastery, of course, would score a lot, but still, it's a tricky decision, and the best that green could have done is just simply not play this monastery here earlier and not put himself in a position like this in the first place. So let's see, he does go for it. It's still a lot of points. We don't want to pass up on those. And there's still many scenarios how we make out alive with our monasteries, but Kreukle probably going to now start blocking more. This move over here looks quite venomous, leaving only one tile available that fits for green, and this is exactly what happens. Dorito tile for green, probably starting a new city on the left. It's absolutely worth the investment of the last meeple. Kreukle with a crossroad tile finishes his road, disrupting green city slightly. I think the 1 point meeple on the road is definitely a bit extra. If you are going to meeple something, I probably prefer a farm there, you know, just for insurance. What if Bluste does get lucky and draw his final dagger that fits into that square? Yeah, I really don't see like much value in this 1 point move. Maybe the idea is to get one of the 3 clover tiles, to place them like this, which will allow us to meeple the field straight up. Yeah, I'm not sure. No, I don't know. I guess I know the value. We get the clover and we meeple the city cap at the same time. So we take advantage of the 2 points and we're prepared to use the city cap for blocking opportunities over here. But it just appears to be value that's so marginal that does not seem to be worth the meeple investment. But now, as Bluste continues his city at the top, I always love those cities with 3 extenders in a row. So efficient, so safe, almost impenetrable. But now the Lithuanian draws a fantastic tile, one of the many Doritos still remaining for his city, finishes his city in the center, drops a farmer, and gets a substantial scoreboard lead. Bluste with the first tile, which sadly will prevent him from extracting value. He doesn't have meeples to score any quick points, so I just want to see what he does with it. He simply dumps it into a shared city. Note how he does not want to use it over here because he wants to finish this city on the left with a city cap rather than a bunch of Doritos, given that 6 of the Doritos actually have already gone out, and so have both of these splitters. Kreukle finishes his road, starts a new city. Yeah, so his 1 point meeple on the road ended up working actually really well. But still, it does not appear to have been worth it, because sometimes it gets blocked there. And also, actually, I think not meepling the city cap might be best, because you're threatening to draw a Dorito and place it over here, and this would block the square permanently because none of these 3 horse tiles have been used. I mean, no, all of them have been used. None of them are available anymore. And so now if you want to do the same thing and block your opponent's city, you're kind of forced to actually block your own meeple as well. So Bluste now in a very interesting situation. We can either get a meeple back immediately, get 3 monastery points, and also set up another monastery that we could meeple in the future for a boatload of points. But this has the downside of being having your meeples blocked potentially in one move. If Kreukle gets any road tile, he can place it over here and block that square. But again, the upside of this move is huge. The other approach is to go over here, take 2 immediate points, and have a greater chance of all 3 monasteries making it out alive, but we would not be getting a meeple back immediately, and we would not have a productive way to use a new monastery. Sure, when we get a meeple back, we can use a monastery over here, but, you know, it's some time before we do that. So how do we decide between these two moves? Well, there are several factors at play. First of all, we need to consider how desperate we are. So we are minus 29 down on the scoreboard, which is bad, but it's actually not that bad, because if we were to recover these meeples, it's 24. This guy is going to be 14. So that's already 36 extra, which puts us at 48, and just only a slight disadvantage. If we get this guy, then everything looks great. So if we think about this, then our position is very close to equal. We just need to care about the integrity of our monasteries as opposed to additional value. So we probably could go over here. The other consideration is the actual probabilities of getting our monasteries completed, because this is, in fact, safer than the other move, but it is not super safe. I just see with the naked eye that actually a lot of straight lines and a lot of T-shaped crossroads and some starting tiles have already gone out, so it's not that easy to finish our monastery quickly. So to make a decision, what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to look at the pool of unseen tiles. I mean, if we're playing, then we have to do that. No, I pressed the wrong button yet again. It's supposed to be... Okay, so now we need to do this. I think it was move number 90 or something, at least this would be my guess. Or somewhere close to that. No, sadly, I guessed it. I guessed it wrong, so we already got ourselves some spoilers. So yeah, so the Croatian did get the more risky approach, and he got 2 of these monasteries blocked. But I still want to go back to that position. So let's now go to move number 80 instead. And the reason I want to go back to this position, because it's a really, really pivotal decision for the fate of the game. Wait, okay, no, I need to go now to move back 75. Okay, 72 or something. Yeah, perfect. So Kreukle goes here, finishes his city. We're going to run through these moves real quick. I know we still have 6 minutes remaining before the next game. So, this goes here. We saw that. And now I'm going to try and press the right button to activate the Carcassonne Reviewer created by David Garcia for exactly these kind of purposes. Yeah, so Bluste does go over here. But let's have a look at pool of unseen tiles. So if Bluste were to go over here with a road, this would allow us to have 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles to finish this monastery. This actually is not that bad. In reality, it's really 4 tiles, because these are the 4 ideal tiles to finish our monasteries with. And given the fact that there are actually not so many city tiles available, well, there's some road tiles available, so Kreukle could in theory go over here and set up a blocking platform to block our monasteries. But if we go over here, we have 2 monasteries available for us, and I see actually a lot of blocking opportunities for our opponents. So how many? So they have 5 road tiles available. Actually, yeah, no, 5 of this, because this has been just drawn by green. We didn't know that. So 6 here, 10 blocking tiles. So that's like and also there's this one, 11. So that's over 30% chance of being blocked immediately, and then some chance of being blocked later. And also there's some problems of defending the square as well, because this would allow an attack on our city too. Yeah, so actually it does seem that Bluste was not far enough behind to try and pull stuff like this. I probably really like putting the curve over here, simply because we can still get a bunch of city caps. There's loads of those still available to get a meeple back. And we can still use another monastery over here for 6 points. And this is good enough for us. We still have chances to recover those meeples, and just some of those will be alive. Interesting, of course, that I think Bluste might have followed the same logic. You know, I have a vulnerable meeples in a couple of places. And maybe if red spends energy on blocking this square, red won't be able to block this that much. But what red needs to realize is that, what green needs to realize is that red in fact doesn't have a good way of blocking this meeple. In fact, this meeple is very, very safe. The only way to block that square is to place a triangle over here, which would block not only green but also red. So that's a completely acceptable outcome for green. If you look at the unseen tiles, it is actually not possible for red to save his own meeple and block green's meeple at the same time in a way that would leave less than 2 squares accessible, less than 2 tiles available for the square, because there's still 2 starting tiles remaining and a bunch of daggers and a bunch of other city caps. So in fact, this meeple is not vulnerable at all, which is really, really surprising to me. So this is probably the only sensitive spot, and what I would have done as Bluste is just put the curve over here. It's super, super tempting to go here just because the upside is great. It's just the downside seems to outweigh all that. Kreukle does happen to have a blocking tile immediately. And Bluste will be finishing his city. Possibly dropping a farmer was also okay, just because this field could turn into something tangible. Kreukle gets an attacking tile. I don't think he should complete any of the city. It's time to invade up top. That city is just too dangerous given the large number of city caps still available. But they choose to finish their own city, which is a mistake, I believe. They're not running short on meeples, and this is dangerous. We need to do something about it, but they don't. Bluste starting a new city, which is a really good move, actually. Kreukle now will invade the city, of course. Should have done this last turn. Bluste continuing his own city. On the left, Kreukle with a curve, probably going to continue his road. Instead, he goes over here and meeples the farm. That's interesting. I'm not sure how I like this move. The meepling the farm is certainly fine, because the farm is worth 9 points. But probably I prefer securing the integrity of my road first. You know what? At this moment, I think we should stop because our next match is starting. We will analyze this one soon enough. Also, fingers crossed the last half an hour have gone by without disruption. So there is a bit of a caveman method I'm trying to mitigate the difficulties, the technical difficulties, and at least it's working so far, fingers crossed. So we will find out more about this game after we witness our last live match of the day, which is between Filip Buhinic of Croatia and Hubert of Spain, who has taken down many strong opponents in this qualification bracket. Interesting how Hubert lost to Kraftjuraf in the first game, but in their first match, rather, of the same qualification bracket, but they will be outlasting Crafty at least for a couple more hours in this tournament ultimately. Whoa! First mistake for Buha. Well, I'm not sure if that's a mistake, but it's a move that I wouldn't make. There are some top-tier Japanese players who would make this move. Hubert, of course, gets the advantage regardless with his nice tile run out and 8-point monastery. But Buha meepling the shielded city tile as opposed to meepling the road. And normally I meeple the road because I don't want to give a 3-point road to my opponent. The Croatian chooses to meeple the shielded tile because they don't want to give the shield to their opponent, but it's actually not that dangerous. Because this tile has 3 sides, even if red were to claim that city, which they would, by the way, there's still time to use one of these squares to attack and equalize. Now we'll have an interesting position as the Croatian chooses to create a big city fight, which is a bit premature to my taste, just because there's so many opportunities, so much time for red to do something about it, either equalize the city if it gets big enough, or just block it if it stays small. Hubert, in the meantime, just building his own cities on the right. He'll be happy with his 8-point advantage. Definitely a much more favorable position here for red. The Croatian starts a road in a risky place, but I like it. This square is somewhat vulnerable, and Hubert makes it more vulnerable but there was this nice idea of building all the way up and making a 6-point road, and even now it's still possible to draw one of the 2 road monasteries for a net 7-point move. Look at this beautiful placement. Buha with the first monastery without a road. He would love a slight modification to this tile. He's not getting it right now, but maybe he's still going to draw one of those road monasteries a little bit later. So maybe just going over here. Starting 4 points, monastery. There's a downside, of course, that it's next to this city piece of Hubert, so that's a shared city, but the upside is that it's controlling this square, and this square is something that could be used for red for blocking this square, so it's a bit harder for red to block that square. Buha, in the meantime, with this stacking approach of monasteries, really like that, actually. It could be strong with some more monastery squares available. Hubert trying to run away with a small city over here, the only possible move for the Croatian to try and disrupt. Now Hubert should meeple this 2-point road for insurance. I'm really, for Hubert it's okay, because like he's rated around 500. You know, there's no real competitive scene in Denmark. I don't think there's actually a World Championship participant from Denmark yet. So he probably doesn't know it, but I'm surprised how many even higher rated players don't know it. I've even seen Vladimir Kovalov make this mistake. So when you make a defense of a city like this, you always want to meeple this 2-point road. And this is to deny your opponent scoring a 3-point road with tempo, with an attacking platform. So if you meeple this road, what this makes sure is that if your opponent wants to create a proper attacking platform, they're forced to add an additional point to you, which of course is, you know, even if you get your city blocked, then you get some compensation. But anyway, Hubert now with a road tile of his own, not sure what they're gonna do. They just choose to recover a meeple for the ultimate, not the ultimate, but an amazing meeple majority, scoreboard majority 9-2. Of 9 points, but as I was talking, this monastery tile was drawn by Buha, so his risky road pays off. Very nice monasteries over here, although it's, I guess, not great that they're not fully connected, but we can still try complete them. We actually should go over here now. A risky move, but justified. The Dane manages to block this square. Oh, wow, big mistake. Mistake. I did not really expect this from the Croatian player. It's a waste of a city cap, if you ask me. And a waste of a city cap if you ask the majority of players, because this ruin's already blocked. The city cap is going to give him just 1 point. Why don't we go, for example, over here to give us 2 points for the city cap and a chance to get 6 points more on our next move? Or why don't we go over here and prevent our monasteries from being disrupted? So many ideas. Now also finishing a road successfully, that's very nice, but meepling this city cap was unnecessarily risky. Also, Red just wasting a marvelous opportunity to place a monastery in this fantastic spot, controlling all of these squares next to Blue's monastery. Instead, using it as a tile just to maybe sort of kind of create a maybe chance to sort of block this square. Immediately denied by the Croatian as he draws one of the 2 daggers that fit here. These monasteries are safe again. Both players exchange quick points. There's some potential field in the position. The scoreboard lead of Hubert is smaller, and the more I look at it, the more I like Blue's positions. Blue's actually a massive favorite because this ruin is really good now. And this road will be 5 points. Maybe even a farmer over here. Okay, Hubert tries to start a new city at the same time to disrupt this road. Will it work? Maybe. Buha with a city cap tile. A couple of good moves. Going over here, starting a new city is an option. Another one is going over here and preventing Red from drawing a splitter, which would allow Red to complete an 8-point city and to separate these tiles from the 2 meeple majority on these ruins. So of course these guys are now trying to eat up this poor guy. Okay, nice sequence from Hubert, restricting this road, not allowing the recovery of this meeple real quick. But the Croatian is having threats elsewhere. These monasteries have a lot of points now, and Hubert is spending way too many tiles on blocking. Buha with a Dorito tile now, only 1 good move, well, 2 good moves in this position. I think we can either, well, 3 good moves. And this is the best one, I think. Well done for the Croatian for finding it. Not allowing Hubert to draw a splitter tile, not allowing him to score 8 easy points, but this comes at a price, because the other good move was to go over here and liberate the monastery meeple. Hubert tries to block, but Buha frees up his monastery nonetheless. Now with the scoreboard advantage, Hubert continues his city, tries to score a little bit. Buha with some scoring tiles off his own, but instead he uses it to invade the city of Red, which I really like, and it also sets up a blocking attack over here, which is immediately denied by Hubert. The city is still very much alive. Starting tile for Buha, no obvious move, maybe just 1 point for the monastery, trying to finish yet another monastery. Or will he go super aggressive over here, trying to reconquer the city? I don't think that would be a good idea, given the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, actually all triple cities have gone out. So the idea of going over here and trying to eat up the city with a 2 versus 1 majority like this is no longer working. But what about going over here? Maybe that is an option. No, he goes for the 1 point. I really like this move. It also makes it much harder to block this square, and it looks like Blue will be finishing yet another monastery. Not just yet, but 4 quick points for Buha. Hubert's now just trying to score a little bit. Meeple's a 4-point road, which is under the control of this monastery. Now maybe going over here, disrupting the square a little bit. No, he tries to block this meeple. As Buha, I'd probably ignore it, because there are only 14 tiles remaining. We have absolutely more than enough meeples to finish the game. We're massively ahead, but Buha with an, I think, excellent move? Yes, because it blocks this square completely. Before this move, there was still 1 tile with 1 barbed wire tile that fit over here that would complete the city for Hubert for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for 14 points plus an extra 4 for the road. So this move denies 18 points to Hubert's scoreboard. Excellent find by Buha, as tempting as it was to finish his own monastery. Disrupting this opportunity is more important. Just adding 1 extra point to his ruin, Hubert now gets the first monastery of his own. Well, the second rather, but the first that he chooses to meeple. All very valuable. 7 points. Probably still going to be not enough for the Dane. Buha will recover his meeple, and he doesn't even go for the 2-point road. He chooses to meeple the 4 points for the 6-point field. Hubert now meeple the 6-point monastery off his own, trying to score really hard. They will be getting a bit closer on the scoreboard. Buha will now decide, does it even make sense to finish the city? I don't think it does. It's actually better to go over here to add 2 points to his own ruin and to make sure that Hubert stays without meeples for at least 1 more turn. Yeah, because the idea is, if we go over here and complete the 2 cities, it's a +2 move because it equalizes a 1-point city with a 3-point city for our opponent. But if we go over here, which is what the Croatian chose, it also adds the same 2 points just to our own city. And look at that sequence, crossroad tile, 4 points for the road, 9 points for the monastery, 13 points extra for Buha's scoreboard. Hi Devaka, congratulations on your win earlier today. Hubert, with finally recovering a meeple, but Buha with a splitter tile, probably going to score some quick points somewhere, or he might go for another farm. This actually might be not the worst idea. And he does it. I really like this move. Just trying to get the highest point scoring opportunity immediately. 4 points for the road for Hubert. Trying to catch up on the scoreboard desperately. Buha with some more city caps will get 7 extra points. Or will he get even more? He could either go over here, score 4 points for the city and 3 points for the field. Or he could go over here, meeple another 6-point field and add 3 points to his existing field. So that would be a 9-point move, but that would require the investment of a meeple. Is it worth it? Well, it all depends on the remaining tiles. If there's still a tile in the deck that red could use to connect the 2 farmers of red, then it's not worth it. If there's not such tile in existence, then it is worth it. Let's do some counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No curves remaining. Well, I guess the Croatian player is a bit ahead as they chose to go over there. And now they will meeple that final bit. So the idea, of course, was to first of all take advantage of their meeple and only then try to get the other farmer. And now they will need to count if there's such a tile available. I don't think there is, because there are no splitters remaining, no Doritos, no monasteries, no curves. Are the vanilla tiles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No, there are no vanillas remaining. So the best move is, in fact, to go over here, meeple a 6-point field, add another castle into the main field, so that will be a net 9-point move, and there will be no chance for the Dane to place a tile over here and connect the tiles. He does not recognize that. It doesn't matter, he'll be winning nonetheless. Now, the last tile is a crossroads, so missed 2 points, sadly, for the Croatian, but this will not cost him the game. Of course, overall, excellently played, some excellent risk management, starting a risky road. The ruin was a bit extravagant to my taste, but it ended up working out as red did not draw a splitter tile on time to separate his 8-point cities. I felt that red maybe spent a bit too much time on blocking and did not quite take advantage of his temporary meeple majority, and it was the aggressive scoring of Buha and some early monastery tiles and his big ruin that will secure a massive, massive win for the Croatian. So this is the first win of a Croatian in a game of today. Let's see if it is his last or not his last. So, Filip Buhinicek still keeping the hopes of the Croatian nation in this tournament alive. As Bluste of Croatia, the main, the highest rated player of that country, was surprisingly eliminated earlier today by the Lithuanian expert Kreukle. Let's update the score to reflect that. And let's see if the Danish Hubert has something to respond with. Okay, both players are ready for the next. They will not be taking a break, which is not great news for me, because I've been talking for quite a lot just because the game is so fast-paced. Okay, maybe I have a couple of seconds. Just one sip of a lukewarm liquid is all I have. Okay, has the game been started? I believe so. Probably need to refresh the page. It has started indeed. No time for breaks. And unlike the previous game, here the starting advantage goes to the Croatian and 4 points immediately on Blue's scoreboard. Red meeples the road, Blue immediately equalizes it. Red continues the shared road. There are still some chances to draw crosses and try to reconnect, but I think this move was like a little bit too fast. There were maybe some other options that would allow us to shape the board, maybe going over here, but overall an okay move. Bucha starting a new city over here. I like the meeple placement. The city could develop nicely. Hubert starting a new city, continuing his own side of the road. Overall a very safe placement of a city. Bucha with a splitter tile, excellent for him. Chooses to continue his city from the left. Red gets the first monastery and meeples it immediately. He will not repeat the mistake of the previous game where he managed to, what kind of wording is that? Where he unfortunately did waste one of the monasteries. Philip with a very nice Dorito tile to set up a city. Hubert with a city tile, which is double-edged. It makes this square very vulnerable, and as Philip, I would not go over here, I would go over here straight away, trying to inflict some pain on the Danish monasteries over here. Hubert with a straight road. What do we do over here? Do we actually... So there's an interesting move. We could go here, and this would separate these two roads for better or worse. So why is it for better? Well, for better is, first of all, this road is a little bit longer, but most importantly, there is a chance for Red to grab a city tile, go over here and block Blue's road alone without blocking his own meeple. So Blue recognizes that, and instead of finishing his own city, he starts a new one in a way that still allows the road monastery to be placed over here. Also, the first farmer now belongs to Blue as he does finish his city. Oh, Hubert, very interesting. He's the first to draw the road monastery, and I like this move. He does not place it over here. He decides it's time to gamble, and it's a good monastery placement for himself. There's a 50-50 chance now that this meeple will be trapped with 2 points, and that's why Bucha is not in a hurry to place the crossroads over here, instead taking advantage of a loop road. And the reason why he's not in a hurry, because he realizes that there's a chance of his meeple getting blocked. So if I'm blocked, then you, Red, are going down with me. I'm not placing anything in this square. In fact, I'm going to try and build over here and block the square altogether. But there could be some other scenarios. This square is still vulnerable. There's still 2 tiles that fit over here. If they do fit over here, then Red will be recovering those meeples. If they don't fit over here, or if the square later gets blocked, well then Red's idea to separate the 2 roads might actually backfire, because there are still some scenarios how Blue could be getting his meeples back without Red getting his meeples back. So many possible scenarios. Let's see how it develops, as the Croatian has a boatload of scoreboard points from these little city caps. And a difficult situation for Hubert, even though, I mean, this game he's been playing well. I really didn't notice any issues. So let's see what he does now. Given his deficit, and especially the fact that Blue managed now to invade this city, which is really unfortunate for Red, I want to go for efficiency. I probably would have loved just 3 points over here, but this move definitely gets the creativity point. First of all, it starts a new city. Second, it disrupts this city a little bit. So the plan, of course, for the Dane is to go over here, block the city entirely. And it also sets up a nice 3-point road for the future. But will that even matter? Of course, 3-point road in a different location is being taken advantage of by the Dane to bring his scoreboard deficit to only, I sarcastically or ironically said, I'm not sure exactly about the proper usage of these roads, but said, because 22, of course, is not only. It is a gigantic disadvantage, and this is due to the fact that this monastery over here was drawn by the Croatian for immediate 9 points. So let's see if he managed to preserve his lead. Maybe he's gonna drop a... Nah, don't like it. Not a very strong move. Just using it as a potential blocking platform, but it might as well work out because he's now setting up another huge threat of drawing a Dorito and overrunning this city. Bucha now with a city splitter, now trying to attack another city of Hubert. Just Hubert cannot catch a break, or maybe he can. The reason why I dislike this move so much is that it created some blocking opportunities. No, it's not some blocking opportunities, but rather some defense opportunities for Hubert. And Hubert managed to pre-build his road and pre-build his city. What a brilliant move by the Dane. Now, all he needs to do is draw a starting tile, which will give him an 8 point for the city. Probably 9 points for this monastery, a boatload of points for this road, and maybe even a farmer at some point, and then he's right back into this game. Buha of 2 points for the road. Hubert continue his city. Still, this on the left is a huge threat. Hubert is now to do something about this. Will there be time? Maybe, as Buha gets a monastery tile, which probably should go over here, but no. Tries to create an attacking platform against Hubert unsuccessfully, as the Dane gets his meeple back for 8 points and catches up on the scoreboard. Only minus 18 for the Dane, +1 on meeples. Buha, excellent spatial move, not allowing field attacking platforms. Really strong from the Croatian. Oh, and look at Hubert loving this idea, setting up a coin flip for another monastery that would also gain him access to this field. Yeah, so say what you will, but like the strength of Hubert in this game is realizing like when you're behind, you gotta risk, and risk he does. Let's see if it pays off, as 4 extra points in the scoreboard go for the Danes. Still, the threat on the left is super dangerous. Nobody gets a tile to do something about this. The players exchange relatively inconsequential road tiles, while Bucha does get some points extra on the scoreboard. And Hubert does finally get a tile to disrupt the city. Just in time, perfect timing, as Buha was going to connect over here. I also like the idea to place the city without a meeple for now. First of all, there are only 2 tiles available to fit into that square. And, you know, from Red's perspective, there's still a chance that we might draw both of them. In which case, the Croatian meeple is going to be stranded here for 1 point. But in case Croatia does draw a tile that goes over here, then at the very least, we'll still have time to reconnect. A monastery is drawn by Red to connect to the field. Sadly, of course, not enough meeples to actually place a meeple on the monastery. We do need to preserve a meeple for something else. In fact, we do need to preserve a meeple for scoring these 8 points, which will now be much harder as one of the starting tiles has been drawn by Buha to finish his city on the top. Hubert chooses to start a new 3-point field, which of course will turn into a 9-point field soon enough. And finally, the other starting tile is drawn by the Dane, and this satisfying cash. 8 points for the city, 9 points for the monastery, 8 points for the road, and only -4 on the scoreboard. But just as the Danish fans might have gotten happy, Buha drew one of the 2 big tiles that allows him the takeover of this big ruin. Now a monastery tile for the Croatian for extra 9 points over here. So, and 4 points for the road, and a meeple back, and another scoreboard lead, and a lead on the ruin. So the Dane just can't catch a break. He's barely afloat in this. Only 6 tiles to turn this around. We have to attack the field now, and he does. Excellent recognition from Hubert, but he will be cut off. immediately, as Buha will of course go over here and disrupt this farmer. So I'm wondering maybe instead he should have placed this farmer over here on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think it might have been a slight miscalculation. Oh! An even more painful move. Buha is now trying to drop a farmer of his own to connect like this, and there's still tiles available to do that. He's blocking his own city, but he's most importantly blocking this farming connection for red and trying to spectacularly draw a farmer of his own. But Hubert still has a 9-point field here. He drew one of the crosses that fit here. There's only one of those remaining. So maybe. No, not here. But what do I know? Maybe that's the move, actually. So, red chooses to attack the field, and maybe that's a good idea. I was thinking maybe if, as red, we'd rather attack the ruin, but is the ruin even bigger? So the field has... Oh, no, the field has 6 completed cities on it, so it's worth 18 points. So it's definitely the better move. My idea was to attack the ruin and try to draw the last triple city tile. But now some threats of even completing that ruin, I don't think it's actually quite possible. And there might not be a triple city tile available. No, there is one actually. So Buha with a curve. Oh wait, there are no crossroad tiles available. So this was the last one. Probably needs to go over here just to score some 3 points. Hubert is saying congrats, thinking that this field will not be enough. Is that true? No, yeah, but he's not getting the tile, of course. He's getting the big city tile. And I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, there's no curve remaining. Yeah, so he does get a 3-point city. No, there is a curve remaining. So very unfortunate for red to miss on this connection. Let's see if this curve would have been enough for him to rub it in. Blue even manages to equalize the field at the top, which of course was a miss from red. Red could have blocked it, would have been inconsequential. So let's see if a curve would have given the Dane the win. So plus 27 for Buha, just too many threats. I really like the aggression here. Of course, some fortunate tiles draws, but some fortunate tiles draws from Hubert as well, just a bit too late in the game. So let's see if the tiles are reversed. Then on his last move, instead of getting 9 for the road and the field invasion, Buha gets 3. So Buha gets 6 less. And then instead of 3, we get 23. Huh. We get 23 because we get a 5-point road. And we connect to the field. So actually the game was decided by the last tile. The curve would have won it for Hubert. It would have been 20 extra. No. Oh, it would have been just much more painful. The Hubert would have netted 26 more, 18 for the fields, 5 for the road, instead of 3 for the city. So that's plus 20 to his score. And Blue would have had minus 6 for his score. So the difference would have been 26 points less instead of 27 points. It would have been just 1 point. So it would have been a loss, just a much more dramatic loss. So still some chances for both sides until the end. And I think there was even some opportunities if Hubert were to get both curves, that he'd be able to complete the farm and he able to expand his 3-point farm to a 9-point farm at the top. And then he would have won. So of course, the chances still were on Buha's side, but definitely Hubert going out there not without the fight deserves a lot of credit for his resourcefulness and trying to take those risks and stay in this game despite the big scoreboard lead for the Croatian. And for Buha, excellently played first game. Very nice ability to create threats and hold on to his lead in the second one. Maybe just a slight unnecessary risk over here, creating the some chances for red, which he took advantage of. But other than that, great high scoring moves from the Croatian. Very fast-paced game, just under 12 minutes. And this will conclude the portion of the live stream for today. Also, 1 hour without technical difficulties. That's the caveman methods have indeed been working, thankfully. So now I need to catch my breath a little bit and update the scoreboard. And then we still have a bit of content remaining for maybe 20 minutes or so. Okay, scoreboard first. Whew. The Croatian player does not give the Dane even a single game to win. Let's have a look now at the bracket. What's going to happen for those players next? Hey! Why doesn't it work? It should work. Well, let's wait for a second. Yes, Wisemaze, actually, I don't like when players just say GG before the game is over. I guess that's fine, but I don't like when they say that based on what their last tile is before you see it. Yeah. But, I can definitely understand the disappointment of the loss. And generally, the Dane has been graceful in not only his today's defeat, but in other defeat in his other games. Sadly, he won't be entering the main stage of the tournament. But certainly a memorable performance for the first player from Denmark to ever participate in an international Carcassonne tournament at all, I would think. All right, so first of all, what are we having here? Q3. No. Q2. So what's the fate of Buha here? Still in the lower bracket, and he will be playing against not Craft Giraffe, but Hognai of Norway, which was a bit of an upset. So interestingly, that's a lot. This is kind of like the Nordic branch of the tournament. There's Finland, there's Norway, there is Denmark. I wonder where Sweden is, or maybe did the Swedish player already make it to the main stage? We'll need to check. Actually, we can look at this afterwards, because Sweden does have some expert players. Yeah, so the lower final will be Buha of Croatia against Hognai of Norway, and then they will need to still play in the consolidated final, which we can see, well, which we cannot see, but it's off screen, against whoever loses this match over here. So either Malaysia or the United States. As for Hubert, it will be goodbye until next year, or maybe until later this year, if Denmark maybe gathers a team for the World Team Carcassonne Online Championships. That would be nice. Hi, Philip. Congratulations on your win. Very spectacular way of creating threats. Certainly very well played. So, what do we have for our other matches of today? In Q2-3, which we witnessed an hour ago, so we'll be very surprisingly saying goodbye to Bluste. Of course, we're still going to have Croatian representation in this tournament, just not from Bluste. And the Baltic Derby, which I will make all the effort to stream, Lithuania against Estonia in the semifinals. And both players with a similar rating in their 550s. Oh, you can't ask for better matchup like this than this. It's going to be fire. Then in Q3, Devaka, who won against pablobce of Argentina earlier today, will be playing. Oh, against Chris. Now, of course, we already discussed that a couple of hours earlier. That's also going to be spectacular. It should be a close match with a slight advantage for the Latvian, just because he also seems to be in really, really good shape. So, Devak, you're in the chat. You have some preparations to do, probably. Wiseman is saying no Swedish players in the list. Not even for the main stage. I'm so surprised. Not even Helge is playing. Hopefully everything's okay with them. So, and finally, no, that's actually it. We covered everyone. So then the last thing that remains for today, no, there are actually two things. First of all, I want to check if there are any more matches being announced. No, not really. So far, I'm planning to stream all 5 of those matches, or at least the majority of those. I'm definitely streaming Basiluk against Setsu Gento tomorrow, and that's one's going to be with a special guest. So that should be fun. And I mean, that's the final of Q1. Also late nights in Europe, like I assume many of you will be watching already in bed. Not sure if it will be the easiest thing to fall asleep to, given how Basiluk is also, like, it's a very aggressive player, and he's also a very fast player as well. Setsu Ginto, moderately aggressive, but as most Japanese players, they really like taking their time. It should be a clash of styles, a bit more of an open Carcassonne from the Ukraine, and a bit of more of a slightly more closed position from the Japanese, more oriented for mini battles. I'm very curious to see whose style prevails. Both master players, exceptionally strong. So this should be a fantastic matchup tomorrow. And there are some upcoming matches which have not been scheduled. As soon as I find out the times, of course, I'll see if I can stream them too. But finally for today, we're going to spend the remaining maybe 20 minutes or so looking at the end of the game between Bluste and Kreukle to see what actually enabled the upset of today. Oh, thank you, Sergey, for confirming that Helge sadly hasn't answered you. I definitely should check on them later to see if everything's okay with them, because they're normally quite excited about international Carcassonne tournaments. I think they were even trying to gather a Swedish team, just not fully successfully. All right, so yeah, we can see that Lithuanian's developing his field, and Bluste even gets his meeple back. He even draws the dagger. He gets the meeple majority, so some chances in this game. Kreukle gonna munch on those quick points. But this field now has a couple of attacking platforms through here, or through here like this. And probably it's a time for Bluste to actually use those. Yeah, I think the move that we play is we go here, we drop a farmer, try to connect, try to finish the city, and then maybe draw another farmer and swindle with the game. Even though we're quite behind on the scoreboard, these 2 monasteries add up almost to 18 points that we're down. And if we're finished the city, then we're not down at all anymore. Still 1 tile available for us to actually finish that city. A farmer indeed goes down. The Lithuanian trying to block, but the Croatian immediately drawing a tile to get his meeple back, and now it's a game. Curvy tile for Kreukle, probably going to continue his road. Bluste gonna gather some quick points at the top. really trying to mount that comeback there. Kreukle with some more quick points. Maybe not greedy enough. I would have preferred quick points over here and finishing this road later, but maybe, I see the sneakiness behind that move. Because what this move allows is a back-to-back sequence of 2 curves that would create a 4-point road, and that would sneak this farmer into the main field, and in the event that Bluste draws a straight line over here, it gives some backdoor options for red to overrun this field again. Really? Is that the way to go about this position? Maybe. But why do we take a 3-point field? I'm not sure about that move. I guess maybe because Meeplug the Monastery wasn't strong enough. Because I guess it's 6 points, but it allows our opponent to expand the field to something bigger. Yeah, maybe that's okay, actually. I might have preferred this move here. Or maybe Bluste recognizes the idea of these back-to-back curves, and this would allow us to connect here with the Monastery City tile. Yeah, I think this is an okay move. But it gets denied very quickly. Bluste with a curve connects to a field. Kreukle with some quick points. And not great for the Lithuanian, but we now do get a curve. And can we do something about it? Yes, we can. We can do something about it very much. We can go over here and attack the field with still 2 straight lines remaining. Sounds like the thing to do, but will that be enough for us to win the game? Let's check that. Yeah, great point, Wisemaze, that if this guy can't connect to this field, he can still put more cities in it because there's still city caps available. For example, going over here for 4 points, and then later putting another city cap to bring that northern city into the field, and then another city cap to get a 6-point farm at the top and expand his farm to 9 points. So that would actually, with some lucky run out, we could bring the value of this farmer up to 15 points with just 3 more tiles. Wow, farming is really efficient in these modern Carcassonne rules. I've recently played a just casual game with some friends who are older than me, so significantly older than me. And like, they have children and everything. And I've played with their family. And they've been playing Carcassonne for 20 years, and we just did a sort of casual multiplayer game, and what I realized is that they still use the old rules for farmer scoring. So there are many people who actually still prefer the scoring where you don't score per farm but per city, not allowing these kind of shenanigans of getting 15 points and not allowing scoring twice for the same farm. But actually, once I told them about the new scoring rules, they decided that they would switch their family games to the new rules, because obviously having 15 points farmers with just 3 cities is a lot of fun. And they've also now shifted to scoring 4 points for the small city instead of scoring 2 points for the small cities, which was in the original box rules back in early 2000s. Yeah, I figured Wiseman said this would be the situation that we talked about. Yeah, so Bluste chose not to attack the field. Now, I wonder why. It's a 15-point field. And we could get a meeple back actually quite easily if our opponent connects to the farm. Okay, so let me think. Maybe Bluste thought that if attacking the field is not enough, but is that truly the case? Minus 17 on the scoreboard. Let's assume that these two farmers are going to be equal eventually. We have 16 points for the monasteries. We have 5 points extra for this city in the mini battle, so that's 21. And 15 points over here, that's 36. Blocked city for our opponent for 5 points, that's 31. So if we connect, we're 14 points. Wait, we win! Yeah, wait. We win so often in that situation. We will be down. We will be up 14 points. And for the price of 2 meeples, but it's very difficult to deploy a meeple for 14 points. It is possible to go here and draw a Dorito tile that would, of course, negate the 5 points that we have. That would also give an opportunity for red to drop a farmer and to get some more field points, but this would also give us some meeple back and would allow us to get some city caps and points for them. Yeah, so I think if we go here and if we just connect to the field, we win probably most of the time. So I'm really puzzled by that move. Kreukle, I'm going over here, and of course, as fate has it, green draws the tile that fits into this square. So I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out this later. There are either two options. Either green simply didn't see this connection over here, or green decided to postpone it and decided that farming would not be enough. So the fact that farming would not be enough, I think, would be a misjudgment. There would still be opportunities for Kreukle to score, but it would be very difficult to overcome this 14-point deficit. And also we can see now that some opportunities are being set up for Kreukle. Actually, this is kind of dangerous, and I think Bluste can still do the same thing. For lower chance, he can go over here, this time for a 50-50 connection, or rather a 43-57 connection. Wait, what's 100 divided by 7? Something around 4. That's, wait. What's 100 divided by 7? I should know this. 7, it's 14, right? 14 point something. Yeah, 43-57. Okay, I got that right. Ah, great point, Wisemay. So actually, it wasn't that easy of a situation, because there was one other point scoring opportunity. I didn't see it at first. If we invade here and if we invade successfully, then if Kreukle draws a curve at any point, either after that or before even to pre-meeple this road, they would be getting 7 points and a meeple back. But it still depends on the timing, and they're not guaranteed the crossroads, and we still could get a Dorito tile and block this crossroads opportunities, for example. Yeah, so now Bluste invades. Kreukle gets a Dorito tile to get a boatload of points. We do get a meeple ourselves. And we do get some scoring opportunities. Kreukle does get... Okay, make a mistake, of course. Why would you do that? What's the point of doing that? The move for Kreukle was just to score quick points. Yeah, this could really lose red the game. So red is trying to counter-invade, which normally makes sense. But this only works if there's more than one tile that is available for invasion. Because now, with just one straight line, if green gets the straight line, then red invades, then green invades, and red just loses a meeple. If red gets the straight line, then red invades and green just loses a meeple. But if red invades, of course he gets a boatload of points, but it doesn't do anything for red's winning probability, because the main value for red drawing the straight line is green not drawing it. Red doesn't actually need to invade the farm even further and overrun it. Red just needs to avoid losing those points to Bluste. And by scoring just 2 quick points somewhere, what this allows us to do, it allows us to make sure that if Bluste does get the tile that they want, we at least get a bit of something extra. So maybe we get the city cap that goes over here, and we get those 2 points. And then with those 5 extra points, we might hold on. Let's see if actually it does matter. So we see some inconsequential moves. Bluste does get a city cap, which means that no straight line for them. Yes, straight line for Kreukle. And he overruns the field and even meeples a 5-point road. And it's going to win with a big point difference. And now we're going to see what would have happened. So all these nice farming points for Kreukle. A bit of a consolation prize for Bluste. And 24 points is the final difference. So this means, of course, that the invasion of the farm was not necessary. But actually, it's not really such a big mistake, because these 2 points would not have mattered. The coin flip was for 29 points. If Bluste were to get, no, actually more than that. If Bluste were to get a straight line, on his last move, he would have gone over here, and instead of scoring 4 points for the city, he would have scored 3 points for the road, and of course 15 extra for the field. So that's 18 instead of 4. So 18 instead of 4, that's plus 14 for green. Red, if they had gotten the city cap, they would have gotten the 4 points instead of the 5-point road. So that's -1 and -15 because they would not have overrun the field. So -15 for red, which makes it a 30-point flip. Given that Kreukle won by 24, of course, the fate of the game was decided by this coin flip, but it also means that these 2 points did not matter extra, because had he gotten those 2 extra points, he would have given himself a 2 extra point cushion, bringing his lead not to 24, but to 26 points, which is still not enough. So it was really just all about that field. So, you might as well drop that farmer for dramatic effect. And yeah, it does seem that the main source of the loss for Bluste was just not attacking this farm early enough. If he were to attack here, whilst there were still 2 tiles available, he would have had a greater chance. Because if you attack over here, you get a 43% chance. You're not the favorite to connect. If you attack over here, I don't remember the number of tiles exactly, but it would have been over 75%, closer to 80, 77 or something like this. Of course, disregarding the fact that this square could be blocked. There were some blocking sequences available. So yeah, not sure about that miss over here. It could be just overcomplicating the game, and I think I can understand the logic behind withholding the field attack, but I think it does seem, based on our analysis and based on the tiles remaining, that this was the way to go. Just wasn't meant to be. Very, very interesting game. Some pivotal decisions, like where you know, which meeples to block, which meeples not to block, when to farm, if to farm, which farms to farm. So lots of complicated decisions. But I think the main move of which I disagree strategically with Bluste here was this monastery placement over here. It ended up helping Kreukle just way too much, consolidating the monastery for him without finishing our own monastery, you know, being a bit risky with this city over here. As then also, this city could have actually belonged for the Croatian on multiple occasions. Yeah, it's just positionally, this monastery was very, very difficult to handle. Even though it gave these nice 8 points for green, it just ended up giving a much, much more for red. And yeah, congratulations for Kreukle, actually. Very solid game. First on the farm, nice city over here. Very difficult to penetrate. Quite convincing blocks in a variety of places here and here. And looking forward to see how they fare against their next opponent, Vashad of Estonia. And we're approaching 2200 UTC. So this stream is approaching the 4-hour mark. We've of course had some breaks, some planned, some unplanned. Very fortunate the last 2 hours have been spent without technical difficulties pretty much. That's something that makes me quite happy. So if you did enjoy that last part of the stream, make sure to meeple the like button and to subscribe if you want to watch more Carcassonne content like this. And there will be a lot coming up. We'll be streaming every day now. I'll see y'all in 25 hours for the second most interesting match of the week. The most interesting match of the week is, of course, Sunday, 10 a.m. And I think I might just as well get myself out of bed to cover that. Actually, 98% certainty that it's going to happen. It's just way, way, way too important. Alrighty, so that's gonna be it then. Thank you, Wise Mates, for the kind words.